Welcome back, guys, to Fox at 5. Recently, we have had many stories of our oceans being polluted. To help raise awareness, we have Emily Hansen here to explain ocean pollution. Emily, pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, take it away.
Well, thanks for that nice introduction. Okay, so first I'm going to start out. What is ocean pollution? Well, ocean pollution, or marine pollution, is the spreading of harmful substances such as oil, plastic, and toxic waste into our environment. Right here is an example of some plastic wrapped around a shark. Alright, so our next topic, if you look right here in the paragraph, you'd see our information about ocean pollution. So, our ocean and marine life is being threatened by pollution. It is assumed that because the ocean is so big, dumping litter would only have small consequences, but this is not true. Over the years, the trash in the ocean has accelerated. Oil spills, floating plastic, and toxic waste have contributed to the pollution of the oceans. Even though much of the trash and waste dumped to the ocean, litter and plastic, etc., is released hundreds of miles away from land, it still washes up on beaches and coastal areas and affects everything in between. Every marine animal is affected by man-made chemicals released in the water. The scientific process of ocean population starts with plastic, oil, and trash. People buy these products and make them in stores. Once they use these items, they forget to dispose of it correctly. The result is animals will eat the trash thinking it is food and die, or get trapped in the litter that is in the ocean. People clearly don't realize that when they don't dispose of these products correctly, it harms our ocean life. Okay, so our next topic is the effects of ocean pollution. Okay, so I have at least 3, but I'm just gonna briefly go through them. So number 1 is human health, and all of the drinking water that we drink will come from a river or a lake. And in developed countries, the people suffer from health effects from pollution. So some examples are the breathing pollinated air puts you at a higher risk for anemia and other respiratory diseases, and it damages your immune system, specifically your endocrine and reproductive systems. So number 2 is death of animals, and animals will die when the water is poisoned. And I just have an example is when 6,000 miles off the U.S. coastline, it was affected by an oil spill that killed 8,000 animals that they were reported dead after the spill. When plastic bags are digested by an animal, it stays in the gut. Once plastic is in an animal's gut, it can cause food digestion. This will lead to a very slow and painful death. After the animal is dead, the plastic is freed into the environment to hurt other animals. And then the third one I have is ecosystems. So our nutrient population from streams or rivers flows into our larger body of waters. This causes the algae to grow, which attacks the fish and other animals by absorbing and reducing their oxygen. The order of the ecosystems in that water would be affected negatively, which would alter our entire food chain there. Okay, so next is our ocean pollution laws. So in 1972, the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, or also known as the Clean Water Act, it set pollution discharge rules for the U.S. waters, established water quality criteria, and gave the EPA enforcement authority. Also, they had a Marine Protection Research and Sanctuaries Act. This act gave the USA Coast Guard and the EPA authority to regulate dumping in the U.S. ocean waters. They also had a Coastal Zone Management Act. This law authorized NOAA to fund the state programs to regulate pollution and protect environmental resources across the country. So in 1987, the Marine Plastic Pollution Research and Control Act. It implements the provisions of MARPOL, NXV in the U.S. law, and it makes it illegal to throw plastic into our waters. 1994, the Shore Protection Act. This created the regulations for waste transport vessels like trash barges. 2000, the Beaches Environmental Assessment and Coastal Health Act. This amended the Clean Water Act to require water testing, public notification of unsafe water contamination. The Coral Reef Conservation Act also happened in 2000. This act benefited coral reefs by authorizing NOAA to provide assistance to states in removing abandoned fishing gear. And our last one happened in 2006, Marine Debris Research, Prevention, and Reduction Act. This funded the NOAA's marine debris program to identify, assess, and reduce and prevent the marine debris. So our next one is ocean pollution statistics. Number 1 is the litter on beaches has increased 77% since 1994. Second, 1 billion seabirds and 100,000 mammals a year die from ocean pollution. Third one, 3.5 million tons of trash are in the ocean. That is 7 billion pounds, nearly 1 pound for every person living on our Earth. 20% of the population comes from the beachgoers, while another 20% comes from ships. Researchers collected 141 fishes of 27 species, found that a 9.2% of the fish had small bits of plastic debris in their stomachs. And our last one is the U.S. alone has dumped more than 100,000 drums of nuclear waste into the ocean. So our next topic is where to find out more about ocean pollution. So I have 3 of them. So number 1 is the NOAA, and it stands for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So the scientists here study the skies and the ocean. They protect our beaches to make sure that the sand and water are clean for us to play in. Number 2 is the Greenpeace USA. Greenpeace focuses on keeping plastic, trash, and toxic waste out of our ocean. They also teach us what to do so that we can pitch in. Some examples that I found are that we can reduce, reuse, and recycle. And also, we can just pick up the trash around you. It's as simple as that. Greenpeace is fighting and speaking out for stopping ocean pollution. And our third one is the Marine Conservation Center at the marinebio.org. They warn people about the dangers of pollution, and they also protect and restore our ocean life. Okay, so our next topic is going to be information on ocean pollution. Our ocean and marine life is being threatened by pollution. It is assumed that because the ocean is so big, dumping litter would only have a small consequence, but this is not true. Over the years, the trash in the ocean has accelerated. Oil spills, floating plastic, and toxic waste have contributed to the pollution of the oceans. Even though much of the trash and waste is dumped into the ocean, litter and plastic, etc., is released hundreds of miles away from land. It still washes up on beaches and coastal areas and affects everything in between. Every marine animal is affected by man-made chemicals released in the water. The scientific process of ocean pollution starts with the plastic, oil, and the trash. People buy these products and make them in stores. Once they use these items, they forget to dispose of it correctly. The result is animals will eat the trash thinking it is food and die, and get trapped in the litter that is in the ocean. People clearly don't realize that when they don't dispose of these products correctly, it harms our ocean life. Okay, so one of the pictures I found is online. It was a turtle, and this is what happens when some of the plastic gets into the ocean. The animals think it's food, or it can just get encased in their shells. So you have the plastic squeezing around the turtle shell, and the turtle is dying of the plastic because the plastic is suffocating his shell. So this is my last picture, and in this picture you clearly can see off the coast there is trash bags, there's buckets, just the different kind of trash. That is an example of when the trash gets in the ocean, it washes up on different shores. So the last thing on our project was you had to create your own personal change. So what I did is I do drink a lot of water just from plain old water bottles, and sometimes I put them in the trash can. So I really did work hard on when I have my water bottle that I can drink out of, that I make sure I put it in the recycling and not throwing it into the trash. So we're gonna move on to Friday. So Friday, I know that one of the simplest thing that you can do to stop ocean pollution is you can just pick up trash anywhere around school. And so when I saw like a bag of chips at school, I decided to pick it up and throw it in the trash so it wouldn't be just still laying on the ground. So on Saturday, I did the same thing. It was kind of like a 2-day thing because I picked up trash on Friday, but also Saturday at home I just made sure that the trash on our floor, any of that kind of stuff, it was picked up and put in the trash can. On Sunday, I recycled cans that we had in our big bag, and we took them to the store so that they could be recycled. On Monday, I also did the same thing as Friday, and I picked up trash at school. For Tuesday, I decided not to drink out of a water bottle because then I wouldn't have to worry about it. So I just decided to drink water out of our fridge and not have to worry about throwing the water bottle away. Wednesday, we recycled our water bottles. And Thursday, my very last day, was I also picked up trash at school because there was a lot of trash at school.